Trae Young is having by far the worst season of his NBA career. And at the age of 27 years old, he should be hitting his prime, not rock bottom. But instead, this season, 19.3 points per game and 8.9 assists, the lowest marks of his career ever since his rookie season. He's been in the league since 2019. He has been established. He should be figuring things out more than ever, but instead it seems like he has really declined. His field goal percentage is the second lowest it's ever been, and his 3-point percentage, for somebody who was supposed to be a lethal shooter, sits at 30.5% this season so far. Things have gone downhill quick for Trae Young. What happened? First of all, let's consider his production and his impact on the team in order to determine just how bad things have gone for him this season. Per Crafted NBA, his true shooting percentage at 55.3% sits at the 34th percentile. His portability rating at 5.2 is in the 54th percentile. Those are his two biggest weaknesses on offense: his efficiency and his portability. And those two things, you do not want both of those things to be in the negatives. You can work with one of those and still be an impactful player. If you are efficient but not portable, a team can trust you to be one of their go-to guys. If you are portable but not necessarily efficient, a team can put you in spots that best suit your strengths, and you can impact the game at a high level, even if typically you're not the most efficient, because you have a less role and you're portable to do so. But if you're both inefficient and unportable, that means that you're going to be given a big role simply because that's what you have to have in order to make an impact. But then, with the abilities that you have and the attempts that you're taking, you're not making the most of them. That's where Trae Young's at this year. Inefficient and not very portable. But that's just his offense. You get to his defense, it's a whole lot worse. His deflections sit at the 21st percentile. His rim defense is at the 5th percentile. That's bad even for a point guard. His block percentage is in the 13th percentile. His versatility is in the 26th percentile. And his crafted NBA defensive plus minus is at negative 2.7. And the percentile for that is 0. Nobody worse in the league defensively in terms of plus minus per crafted NBA than Trae Young. And you can look at all those individual stats and say it's been a bad year for Trae Young. But what's the big deal? The Hawks, they're having an okay season, mediocre, and that's what they've been for years now. So can we really say Trae Young is the problem? Or is it just the team around him not putting him in a good position? Well, you look at their record, they are 13-10 without Trae Young. When he's on the court, they are 2-8. That is a drastic difference. And since coming back from injury, they are 0-6 with Trae Young in the lineup. That's not good. The individual stats are down as well as the team success. And you're starting to get the feeling that Trae Young might not be the answer in Atlanta. Matter of fact, it's coming out now that they are open to trade talks for their former franchise cornerstone. Now I want to get to the bottom of why this is. Why is Trae Young playing so bad? I mean, in years past, he was inefficient, but the production was still there among the best in the world. And so with that, you can always hold on to someone like Trae Young. What has got us to this point now where he is playing the worst he has since his rookie season? Why is Trae Young playing so bad? And first of all, let's consider what he is as a player. He has always been inconsistent. He has always been inefficient to an extent. But throughout the year, it has almost always progressed into what eventually turns out to be a season of very good averages, albeit not too efficiently. And he generally turns out to be a good offensive hub for you. Not somebody that you deem as maybe a championship contender number one option simply for his inefficiencies, but somebody that you can trust to lead your team to be a play-in squad and put up good numbers in doing so. And the reason why for Trae Young, why he never took that next leap, why he was inconsistent, was largely, in my opinion, because one, he was so ball dominant, two, because of his shot selection, and three, because he was undersized. And these things kind of go in line with each other. When you're ball dominant, you are given the opportunity to do a lot of things for your squad. They kind of live or die by you. You are the X factor. So you've got to be efficient. You've got to be productive. And when you have the ball in your hands so often, you're going to get a lot of attempts up. You're going to get a lot of passes. You're going to have a high usage, and your numbers are going to look good. And with Trae Young, when he has the ball in his hands, his shot selection has not always been the best. In fact, often he is somebody who is content taking very far, deep 3-pointers. In terms of his shot making, he is maybe the best in the world at that, alongside the likes of Damian Lillard and Steph Curry, pulling up from the logo. But when your shot selection is so reliant on these deep, long-range threes to an extent greater than pretty much anybody in the NBA, that's not necessarily sustainable. And that's why he's been inefficient. That's why he's been inconsistent. It's because of his shot diet. And then with his undersized at 6'1", 6'3" wingspan, 164 pounds, he is small even for a point guard. And that kind of is a reason why he has to go so far back. That's how he creates the most room. But what that really does is it hurts his defense abilities so much. So Trae Young was always a fact of his offensive prowess, for the most part, throughout the entire season, outweighed the negatives that he brought for you on defense as one of the worst defenders in the NBA. But this year, that offense has not been the same as it once was. And so now you've got somebody who is not a good defender, whose shots are not falling on offense at a rate where they should be given his usage. And the record shows he's hurting your team right now. So now that we've looked at his production, we've looked at the team, we have looked at who number 11 is as a player, why has he fallen off so badly this year? And in my opinion, it's because of the way that teams defend. The NBA has changed very much in that regard. You see, for years now, we've talked about the evolution of the association in which teams focus more and more on the offensive side of the ball. We are seeing record scoring numbers, 3-point volume going all the way up, and guys putting up just crazy statistics. However, when you look at recent NBA champions, there has been a shift. Standing out more than the offensive prowess is the defensive capabilities and the defensive style that they bring to the table. Look at your two most recent champions, the Boston Celtics and the OKC Thunder. Both those teams can more than hold their own offensively. Celtics, they got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They had Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday and Derek White. OKC Thunder, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not only the MVP last year, but one of the most efficient and productive shooting guards we've seen in recent memory. Truly an anomaly at that spot in the modern NBA. But what stands out even more for these teams is what they did for you on defense. The Boston Celtics, that entire lineup, that starting five I just mentioned, they were so switchable, so versatile, and everybody played their role so well. Everybody was a more than capable defender. They were all high level. And for the OKC Thunder, they had a historically good defense last year. In a league built on offense, where pace is as high as it's ever been, 3-point volume is as high as it's ever been, the Thunder were historically good on offense and continually finding ways to make stops against high-caliber, offensive-oriented teams. And the thing that stands out about both these squads was their switchability and their versatility. And the way that that works out is you have a roster full of wings and long, lengthy, tall guards who are able to defend multiple positions at a high level and not lose their impact in doing so. Look at a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves as well, if you want an example. And it's really been a shift in the way that we view defense, and one that was really necessitated by the offensive firepower we're seeing in the modern NBA. Here's why. You see, for a long time, defenses, especially dominant defenses, were built around these anchors at the rim. And that was because so often teams would focus their offense inside the arc, whether it was the mid-range or whether it was just going to the paint and getting a shot there, that's what teams went to the most. But with the offensive boom that we've seen, teams have began taking more and more threes. They have slowly but surely, and now we almost see it be extinct, taking out the mid range in favor of 3-pointers and shots at the rim. And with more threes being taken now and less mid ranges, having that anchor in the post isn't quite as valuable anymore simply because of where teams are taking their shots. And so what you need now is a variety of defenders who can all hold their own on the perimeter, not just a defensive anchor. I talked about the Timberwolves a second ago. They have Rudy Gobert, an old school rim protector. But what they have around him is guys like Anthony Edwards, Jay McDaniels, Nas Reed. Last year they had Nickeil Alexander-Walker. All of these guys who can be some of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league, and they can guard multiple positions, at least 1 through 3 for somebody like Ant, 1 through 4 for somebody like Nas, maybe even 1 through 5 for somebody like Jay McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That's just the way the league is now. You're going to have wings who, because of their versatility, are at times going to be matched up with point guards in locking up that perimeter. That's just the way defenses are because of the way that the game has changed. And when you've got a small forward cutting through a screen to get to a point guard, sometimes you're going to get some mismatches in terms of height. And that's where the fact of Trey Young being undersized really comes in. Because usually I don't really like the argument. But with his play style, I think it's something we really have to consider, especially the way he's played this year. Because in a league where defenses are becoming more and more versatile, more switchable, Trey Young is becoming less and less likely to get a favorable matchup. Even if a point guard is on him, we're seeing an abundance of tall point guards in the league today, guys like LaMelo Ball, Cade Cunningham playing at a high level. But especially if it's a forward or even a shooting guard, with their added reach up against somebody like Trey Young with a 6'3" wingspan, they're going to be able to alter his shots. They're going to be able to get him uncomfortable. And really, that's what modern defenses were designed to do. They were designed to stop guys like him. This on-ball guard who takes a lot of threes. And that's what has gone wrong for Trae Young this year. Defenses have not necessarily tried to figure him out specifically, but they've been trying to figure out this new wave of offense. They become more versatile. And the player that's really harming is Trae Young, because he is kind of the extreme of the modern day point guard stereotype. Not a lot of defense. He's inconsistent. He's inefficient. Takes a lot of threes. Very ball dominant. That's what Trey Young is. And the way that defenses are set up nowadays, they are perfectly catered to stop somebody like Trey Young. And that's what has gone wrong for him. Defenses have evolved to stop players like him, to stop schemes like the Hawks have, and Trey Young's game has not evolved. Can he still be productive? Can he still be impactful? Yes. I think with a short sample size that we've seen from him this year, it's been bad. But he can get better. However, he does have to evolve. He has to find other ways to impact the game. Or else, Trey Young's value could continue to decline, and his time as the number one option and the franchise cornerstone for the Atlanta Hawks may be gone sooner rather than later.